Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and do it. Episode show number 61. I've got a lot at my disposal. For the most part, want to thank John Gaylor, Alex Nunnery, even our executive producer JC. I think he's taken a few well-deserved days off here and there. Had a great show on Thursday night. On his he did his show Thursday night, live from the pub with JC at LakeyFallHits.com. Great internet radio where it's all good. Let's bring JC in here with the drum. Bring me a cup of coffee. I would appreciate it. Thank you. Mm. Oh man, that coffee is good. Thank you so much, coffee boy. Okay, here we are. And away we go. We're about a minute in. Didn't mean to confuse you in the beginning, but this is the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Man, some interesting things now with the Teal Shirt Report podcast episode show 61. We kind of got slowed down in our audio portion because we had to defrag the computer a little bit. And I said, man, where's 60? It's not in the audio vault. So we had to redo that one. It's up now and even on the website at bigjreport.com. As you see on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, the bigjreport.com SEC Power Rankings Top 5. If you don't make the top 5, man, bad things can happen. LSU fired their coach, Brian Kelly. But listen, LSU fans are rabid. So are the Florida fans. You know, Billy Napier, you lose to South Florida, you lose to Miami 2 years in a row, and you get beat by Brian Kelly in the firing of the Coaches Bowl a few weeks ago. But Napier's gone. Brian Kelly's gone. I think Gaylor said that Brian Kelly got in a heated argument with the guy that fired him. All that doesn't surprise me at all, man. Ego time, right? The problem with Napier, he didn't win enough games. He was 22-23 overall. I think Napier was 12-16 in the SEC. Brian Kelly actually had a better overall record than Billy Napier, even though Napier beat Kelly last year, but Kelly beat Napier this year. They both came in at the same time, and they were fired within days apart of each other. And, man, what can you do? I'm going to stop the music for a moment. I do want to get that top 5 up. Let's get the new top 5 up. This is October the 31st. We got some Halloween BigJReport.com SEC Power Rankings because Vanderbilt is in there and they deserve it. Now, how did Brian Kelly get fired? I guess LSU was 5-3. They're out of the top 5. They were in there a couple of times earlier in the season, but when you lose to Vanderbilt by a touchdown, and then you get waxed by Texas A&M 49-25, and that is more of a rivalry than people would think. Texas A&M and LSU, they're right next to each other. They're next door neighbors as far as states go. And Texas A&M whitewashed them 49-25. Texas A&M is undefeated, and man, they deserve it. They're 8-0. Alabama 7-1. They're second. Alabama and Coach DeBoer have really turned it around. Alabama lost to Florida State on the first game of the season. I think the FSU coach, who his team has struggled since for the most part. Man, he was preparing for that Alabama game all year. He threw all of his dice in that game against Bama. That's Bama's only blemish. You take a look at the SEC right now, and there's the power rankings up there, the bigjreport.com SEC power rankings top 5. We're still working on the 16, and Florida is going to be way down there, even though they beat Mississippi State by 2 points, 23-21, needed an interception to seal the victory. Got some big games coming up this Saturday, November 1st, Florida, Georgia, of course, right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Vanderbilt will play Texas. And if Vanderbilt wants to stay in the top 5, they got to beat Texas, and Texas is a pretty good team. They're 6-2 and 3-1 in the SEC. So I would say Texas is kind of on the bubble, trying to get up into the top 5. But there's our top 5: Texas A&M number 1, Alabama 2, Georgia 3, Ole Miss 4, Vanderbilt 5 at 7-1. So some big games coming up. Florida, Georgia on Saturday, November the 1st. Kickoff 3:30 here in Jacksonville. This is a huge game because this will be, I believe, the last game that will be played in Jacksonville until the stadium is completely redone. This was done in, 93, 94, and then Alltel Stadium, or Jacksonville Municipal Stadium at the time, was completed in 1995. Stadium of the future will be completed in 2028. But in 2026 and 2027, you got the Florida, Georgia, Florida game going to Tampa and Atlanta for 2 years, then back in Jacksonville in 2028. Boy, that sounds like a long way off. But the game this Saturday is here in Jacksonville, Florida. So, heck, enjoy it. Florida, Georgia this Saturday. Vanderbilt, Texas is a big one. I'll tell you a game down the road that's going to be huge in the SEC. And Missouri's still on the bubble. Missouri's a good football team. And their coach, Eli Drinkwitz, he's still in the mix to get the Florida job. So is Lane Kiffin. But now LSU has an opening. Maybe Lane Kiffin looks at LSU. Coach O wants to go somewhere, right? Coach Ed Ogeron. And there's some crazy stuff on social media. Now, a huge game, not this Saturday, but the following Saturday on November the 8th. This is huge in the SEC. We know that Texas A&M, who's 8-0, they will go to Missouri. Missouri is a great football team, and Texas A&M has to go on the road. That game's on Saturday, November the 8th. So some big games coming up in the SEC: Florida, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Texas. I mean, all the games are huge. You got Texas A&M, your front runner in the SEC, number 1. You take a look at the record. Texas A&M is 8-0, 5-0 in the SEC. Alabama 7-1, 5-0 in the SEC. That's why we got Alabama 2. They're the only other undefeated team in conference play. They did lose to Florida State. They're 7-1. Georgia's 6-1. Georgia's 4-1 in the SEC. They lost to Alabama a few weeks ago. Ole Miss is 7-1 and 4-1. We got Ole Miss 4th. Vanderbilt, what a year they've had. Vanderbilt 7-1. They're going to be bowling. But another key game for Vanderbilt, not only the Texas game, but they got Tennessee at the end of the year. It's going to be huge. Now, what happens if Vanderbilt wins that game? Do the Tennessee fans revolt and maybe fire their coach? Man, it's topsy-turvy. And you're watching the NFL, you see the Miami Dolphins shellac the Falcons, blow them out. And then on Thursday Night Football, just last night, you see Miami get beat by the Baltimore Ravens 28-6. I understand Baltimore's quarterback is back now. He's been an MVP in the league in the past, and now he's back from injury, and he threw multiple touchdowns against the Dolphins. So the Baltimore Ravens beat the Dolphins. I believe it was 28-6, and that was on Thursday night, October the 30th. This is our Halloween edition of the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I got excited about Halloween when I heard JC on LakeUpallahits.com play the Monster Mash a couple of weeks ago on LakeUpallahits.com, live from the pub with JC on Thursday nights. Mad Max's show is great on Wednesday nights, madmaxmix.weebly.com. Max has a tremendous show. Man, he really does. Max played some Skynyrd. And Max, you need to know that Skynyrd, what's left of Skynyrd, the much younger brother Johnny Van Zant, still singing, for his older brother that died in the plane crash back in 1977. And now all the original members are gone. I think even all the original Honkettes, the female lead singers, have passed on as well, I believe. But Leonard Skinner continues. Some people say it's a tribute band now. It's a lot of great music. Johnny Van Zant's the lead singer, the much younger brother of Ronnie Van Zant. You know, when I was a kid coming up, I guess I was in college at the time. Johnny Van Zant had his own band, the Johnny Van Zant Band, and they were really good. Had a lot of commercial success. Johnny sings with his brother Donnie, and they're singing some gospel songs too. So it's interesting how things have, you know, resonated and just kind of evolved and over time. What's left of Leonard Skinner, because people love Leonard Skinner, the great songs from years gone by, they're going to live on forever. What a great catalog Ronnie Van Zant and the original members left. And it's being carried on by Johnny Van Zant and the new group here in this decade of 2020. Now we're into 2025, but Leonard Skinner is going to play another show here in Jacksonville. Leonard Skinner on Saturday, November the 8th at Daly's Place at 8 o'clock p.m. On Saturday, November the 8th of 2025 at 8 o'clock p.m. at Daly's Place. For those of you that don't know, Daly's Place is located right next to Everbank Stadium. So the concert will be 1 week after the Florida-Georgia game this Saturday, November the 1st, 3:30 kickoff. Another huge game. Florida goes with an interim coach. A lot of rumors. Lane Kiffin, apparently they've got an offer on the table for millions and millions and millions of dollars. Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri may be a candidate. Franklin, who got fired at Penn State, he's a candidate for somebody. I saw AI said he'll go to UCLA. So the coaching carousel will get cranked up, but none of these hirings are going to take place till probably in late November, after most of these teams' regular seasons have come to an end. Maybe Kiffin stays at Ole Miss, or he goes to LSU or Florida. It seems like Kiffin is in the catbird seat where he can go where he wants. The one thing I warn people about Kiffin, a lot of time, and he's done a great job this year, because I think he did more with less this year than he's done in the past. But in the past, I've seen Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss teams kind of run out of gas at the end of the year. So as you can see, there's our SEC, BigJReport.com, SEC Power Rankings, top 5. These teams are having great years. Texas A&M 8-0, Alabama now 7-0, number 2 in the conference. Georgia at 3, 6-1, Ole Miss 7-1-4, and Vanderbilt, the Vanderbilt Commodores 7-1. Can you believe it? Turning our attention to the Jaguars, some interesting stuff. There's all kinds of rumors. I just, for the life of me, cannot understand why people on social media would say the Jaguars, man, they got Brian Thomas Jr. on the trade block. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. Unless there's a crazy team out there going to give the Jags 2 first-round picks and a defensive lineman, a quality defensive lineman, I don't trade Brian Thomas Jr. However, there have been some flaws that have been determined and isolated by the opposing defensive coordinators. Brian Thomas Jr., from what I can see, does not like going over the middle. He don't want to get hurt. I saw Dante Moncrief pull up on his route years ago when he spent 1 year in Jacksonville. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Brian Thomas Jr., I saw him earlier in the season not finishing a route across the middle. He stretches his hand out and the ball deflects off his fingertips because he did not finish the route. Jaguars defensive line, they look good. They get stats in some games, and then against the better teams, they don't. Wow. Brian Kelly at LSU got fired because, man, he got beat back-to-back weeks, Vanderbilt and Texas A&M, and got blasted by Texas A&M. What was that score? Texas A&M 49, LSU 25. LSU was a respectable 5-3, but just too many losses, and those back-to-back losses, the Bayou folks did not care for that at all. Leonard Skinner on What's Left of Leonard Skinner with Johnny Van Zant, the younger brother, and the members that are in the band now. And they're going to be doing a good job. They're going to be playing all the songs. Leonard Skinner on Saturday, November the 8th of 2025 at 8 o'clock p.m. at Daly's Place. On Saturday, November the 8th at 8 o'clock p.m. at Daly's Place, right next to Everbank Stadium. For this concert and the rest of the concerts, go to bigjreport.com. Check out our Neighbors 2 page on our website for the concert listings. We've kind of updated them some this morning. Peter Frampton came and left. I didn't get any reviews yet on Peter Frampton. He was in St. Augustine on October the 29th. Turning our attention real quickly to the Jags. And by the way, high school football, Ed White, my Ed White Commanders, have won the district. They also hung on and won an overtime game. Excuse me, and I was kind of surprised. I was kind of surprised that the game went to overtime, but Baldwin, some people call him Baldwin. I told Alex Nunnery, a lot of people pronounce Baldwin. Depends on what part of the county you're from, because they're still in Duval County, but they're way west. They're about, 6-7 miles west of the west side, as we say. But excuse me, guys. Oh man, I'm getting over this cold. I'm surprised I haven't coughed more on this particular podcast. It's not good to cough. Mike Leach coughed on his press conferences a lot, and then he sadly passed away a few months later after winning the Egg Bowl. He's about the only coach that's not going to get fired. He won the Egg Bowl, and then he sadly passed away a few days after the Egg Bowl. A couple of years back, 2 or 3 years ago. Florida did beat Mississippi State 23-21. Napier's final game, but Napier finished 22-23 overall in his 3.5 years in Gainesville. He was about, Coach Napier was 12-16 in SEC games. So you've got the top 5, the Big J Report.com SEC Power Rankings. We had them on the screen for most of the podcast. This is the Big J Report, Teal Shirt Report podcast. But please subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up if you would. This is episode show number 61. We're going to talk about the Jaguars now. Let me see. I had actually the line on the game just came in a few minutes ago. The Jaguars are 4-3, and this is a turning point of the season. This game is in Las Vegas. It's tough winning on the road in the NFL. But the Raiders are 2-5. The Jaguars are 4-3. The Jaguars are a 3-point favorite in this game. However, our source, who's really good, says, let me just pull up the source here for a minute. Our source says with the Jaguars favored by 3 points, the over-under at 44.5 points or 44.5 points, our source is telling us Las Vegas will win, cover the spread, and the total will go over. And if the Jaguars lose this game, what is the problem with the Jaguars? Well, it would probably mean they haven't got the apple turnovers that they got like the first 5 games of the season when they were 4-1. You don't get any apple turnovers. And my God, you don't get any sacks at all in London. The quarterback with the Rams just picked the Jaguars' defensive line apart. And when the defensive line doesn't get to the quarterback, it makes it a lot more difficult on the linebackers and the defensive backs, cornerback, safeties, if you will. And the D-line, the O-line didn't protect Trevor very well. Trevor might have been responsible for himself running out of bounds and creating his own sack one time, I think somebody said. However, the Jags are a 3-point favorite. When you're a 3-point favorite, you should win the football game. And they're a 3-point favorite on the road. My friends, I think this is the turning point of the season. I know it's early. We're at about, what are we, close to the halfway point? 7 games in. After this game, it'll be 8 with 9 to go. We always talked about the new regime. They got to win more than they lose, at least by the end of the first 2 years of the regime. Everything's looking good. They're getting all the apple turnovers. They're 4-1, and now they don't get the apple turnovers. The defensive line, I don't think the effort was there in London for whatever reason. And the quarterback, he didn't need much time. He picked the Jaguars apart. The O-line did not play well. You had a few drop passes here and there. Trevor did not play as well as he should, so he's part of the problem. The kicker with the Jaguars, Cam Little, is in a 3-game slump. He's missing field goals. I think he missed an extra point a couple of games ago, so he is in a slump as well. This is a critical game. Trevor's got to get off the mat. We need a good game out of ETN. ETN's had some good games, and then, he has had 1 or 2 games that haven't been as good. So he's a key. Got to get the running game going, but the O-line has got to come to play. And the D-line, man, they load up some stats the last couple of years in certain games, right? Josh Allen's sack totals fell off last year. Trayvon Walker, I know he's been hurt. He had a wrist injury and had wrist surgery, but is back, but probably not at 100%. So you've had some injuries. Boysaid Alakun, the linebacker, continues to play well. I like his effort, and you obviously got the turnover machine in Devin Lloyd the first 5 games with pick sixes. I think he had a couple of pick sixes the first 5 games. You got to get him back in the lineup. So it's injuries, effort on the defense, and some of these guys are playing hurt. I do understand that, but that's kind of my take on it. Jaguars are 4-3. That game in London just bugs the heck out of me. LA Rams 35, Jaguars 7. Their quarterback, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? In time, probably yes. But man, he played like a Hall of Famer. He played better than Joe Montana against the Jaguars. But they didn't put any pressure on him, right? No sacks for the Jaguars in the London debacle. A nightmare. LA Rams 35, Jacksonville Jaguars 7. Huge game this week. The Jaguars play at the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders are 2-5, Jags 4-3. Jags a 3-point favorite. But again, our source likes not only the Raiders to beat the spread, but to win the game. Las Vegas will win, cover the spread, and the total of 44.5 points. The total will go over. That's what our source is saying. Ed White beat Baldwin. Ed White beat Baldwin in overtime, 48-42. Never should have got to overtime. I think Ed White botched an extra point, and the game ended up in a 42-42 tie. It went to overtime. Ed White did win the game 48-42 in overtime. So congratulations to my Ed White Commanders, 8-2 district champions. They should be 10-0. They lost to Merritt Island, a game in which they were leading by 17 points a few weeks ago, and they lost by 3 points on a Merritt Island long field goal at the end of that game. The bugaboo for Ed White, not a lot of defense. Ed White's given up a lot of points. In the last couple of games, they've given up 40-plus points, and they've still won the football game with some pretty good offense. Mad Max, who does the madmaxmix.weebly.com, Mad Max Request Show on Wednesday nights from 6 o'clock till 8 o'clock Central Time, 7 o'clock till 9 o'clock Eastern Time at madmaxmix.weebly.com. Mad Max was telling me about his high school, Columbus, Georgia High School. Columbus High was looking good. I think they only had 1 loss, and then they ran into Spencer and got shut out up in Georgia. We got all these scores up. All the high school football scores for the past few weeks, including this weekend, are up on our website. Rains continues. They're the best team in Northeast Florida. They had a big shutout victory where they blew out the team they were playing. I mean, I can give you some of the scores from high school football. The thing with Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, in our area, there were a lot of games played on Thursday this go around. Everybody trying to get the games out of the way before Halloween tonight, I suppose. Just a few of the scores. We'll be adding more to the website. Ed White, 48. Baldwin, 42, a final in overtime. Orange Park beat a young football team that's getting better. Clay High School is getting better. They lost to Orange Park. Orange Park 31. Clay High School 28, a final. Rains is the best team in Northeast Florida. Rains 57. The Atlantic Coast Stingrays, nothing. Nice beat Alex Nunnery's Beachside team. Alex loves some Beachside. Nice 47, Beachside 17, a final. And there's more scores we'll get up on the website at bigjreport.com. Scroll the homepage. It actually says Big J Report info and high school football scores on our homepage. Scroll the homepage, and you'll absolutely get the high school football scores for Jacksonville, Duval, North Florida, South Georgia, and Western Georgia, and that pocket of Southeast Alabama, too. I tell you, Eufaula had a bad loss a few weeks ago, lost to Andalusia 42-10. That same weekend, Ed White had beat Sandalwood 42-6. And those scores, I believe most all those scores are up there on the website to go back and kind of review the high school football season. Ed White wins the district at 8-2. But my God, Ed White should be 10-0. They blew a 17-point lead against Merritt Island. They lost to Oakleaf. There was a bad call, according to Gaylor, at the end of the game. My goodness. Larry Saucer with Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida and surrounding areas, whether it's home, residential, business, or commercial real estate. Saucer Realty and Capital for your real estate needs in North Florida. Larry's a huge Florida Gator fan, and we talked about Larry loves calling Billy Napier Sunbelt Billy because he came from the Sunbelt Conference with the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. And Larry was not always fond of Billy, and the fan base wanted him out. And that's what happened. Right now, the Florida Gators have a interim coach. That's what happens when the main coach gets fired. You get an interim coach for a few weeks, and then the Florida Gators will make the huge hire. Eli Drinkwitz, or it could be Lane Kiffin with all the money. Could it be a situation? And Larry loves a guy that I like too, Kerwin Bell. But Kerwin Bell's never been a head coach at a Division I school, but he's won everywhere he's gone. He won at JU, Valdosta State. I think he's the only coach. He's still at Western Carolina. I think he's the only coach that's ever won at Western Carolina. So what would be wrong with going with a pick that's not the splash hire, the flashy pick? You just need a guy that can win games at UF. A lot of rumors out there. LSU. There was a rumor connecting Dan Mullen, who's he's the coach where at UNLV now. There's a rumor connecting Dan Mullen with the LSU job. Maybe. Who knows what'll happen? It's the college football coaching carousel. Ed White Commanders, district champions in high school football with an 8-2 record. Eufaula's had a good year. They had a tough loss or two in Alabama. And Alex, it is pronounced Eufaula. Eufaula. It's tough to say. It took me a long time to learn how to say it when I was up in that area too. Eufaula. And again, check out the scores. High school football scores are available at bigjreport.com. Scroll our homepage and you will absolutely find them. This is episode show number 61. I want to thank all of our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, the badmaxmix.weebly.com on Wednesday nights. Max is a great show on Wednesday nights. And, of course, JC, live from the pub. JC live from the pub on Thursday nights. It's a great show. JC, keep that Steely Dan coming. Elvis Costello, whatever you can throw out there for me is much appreciated. I just remembered the other day that I don't think I ever told JC this, but I actually interviewed Ted Turner, you know, the great mogul that owned TV stations, the Atlanta Braves, tried to manage the Braves for a game or two, and then the commissioner said, "No, you can't do that, Ted. You can't manage the team. You own the team." Al Davis did some of that though, right? But he came up as a football coach. Ted Turner was not a baseball coach. No doubt about that. But Ted Turner, when they brought cable TV to Jacksonville, and we were probably one of the last good-sized markets to get cable TV, I interviewed Ted Turner back in 1980, 81. Devil me care guy. He's still around. I haven't heard of Ted passing, but he's up in age now. But it was a pleasure to interview Ted Turner back around 80 or 81 when I was doing the sports talk show at WEXI right here in Jacksonville, Florida. We did sports talk for a good while here in Jacksonville. Now you can catch us on our podcast, the Teal Shirt Report Podcast, episode show number 61. Thanks to our sponsors, Saucer Realty and Capital, the Mad Max Mix, Weebly.com, Lakeview Fall, the Hits, and JC's Live from the Pub Show on Thursday nights. All of these shows have links on our website at bigjreport.com. Special thanks to our executive producer, JC. Want to thank Alex Dudley, a great producer. Alex has high school football report videos up on our YouTube channel, so subscribe to our channel, please. I'm asking you to give me a thumbs up on this one and on Alex's high school football videos on this same channel. Our channel is the Teal Shirt Report Podcast from bigjreport.com. Again, thank you so much, executive producer JC, Alex Nunnery, the producer, and we want to thank John Gaylor. John Gaylor, thank you so much, contributor and correspondent. And let me tell you, John single-handedly really helps us, and Alex does too, with high school football reports and scores. And go to our website at bigjreport.com. Got a lot of scores up on the homepage. Scroll it, and you'll see what I'm talking about high school football. That's going to do it. Hope the Jags can get one in Vegas against the Raiders. I can't believe they play in Vegas. And don't get me started on Chauncey Billups and the NBA. I'm about done with the NBA. That's just some sick stuff, too much money, greed, and people thinking they're invincible would be my take on that. Any comments you got about the NBA? I'm about done with the NBA, but if you got comments about the NBA scandal, the gambling scandal, you got comments on the Florida Gators, who they should hire as their new head coach. Can the Jaguars win in Vegas? And does this turn the season if they lose? Are we going to go into a slide and Gladstone tries to start trading more players? I know when Tyson Campbell was traded to Cleveland, it was probably more of a salary cap thing because he had gotten a second contract from Balky. So that's going to about do it. Jags play against the Las Vegas Raiders. Jags are 4-3. Raiders are 2-5. Jags a 3-point favorite, but our source likes the Raiders to win, to cover the spread, win the game, and the point total at 44.5 points to go over. And what does that tell me? You know what that tells me? It tells me they're thinking, man, if the Jags don't get ample turnovers, their defense can't stop nobody. I hope they prove me wrong, though. I really do. Defensive coordinator Anthony Campanelli, you might have your work cut out for you right here in Jacksonville, like so many other defensive coordinators have as well. Special thanks to our executive producer for helping us, JC. Also, Alex Nunnery, and our contributor correspondent, John Gaylor. Thank you for checking out the podcast. Thanks for giving, guys, I'm just asking you to give us a thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. A lot of people have. And, man, we appreciate everybody who has subscribed to the channel. That's going to do it for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. I'm Scott, your host, episode show number 61. Check out the high school football scores on our website on the homepage at bigjreport.com. I'm Scott, your host for the Teal Shirt Report podcast. Man, I am out. Go Jags. Man, I hope the Gators pick the right coach. Just a guy that can win games. My gosh. Take care. Thank you for watching. Thank you incredibly for listening.